So let's get started. So to start with, just open your favorite browser and search for Visual Studio Code. And the first link which will appear here will be from code.visualstudio.com. So we are going to click on this link, and once this website is open, straight away you will be able to see this green download button for Windows. So we are going to just click on this green button, which is going to download this executable file, and this executable file is around 50 megabytes. So I'm going to wait for the download to complete. So now this executable file is downloaded. So I'm going to just click on this file and minimize the browser. And first of all, I'm going to click on this run button, and then I'm going to just agree with the license terms and conditions and click on next button. And this will be the location where Visual Studio Code will be installed on your operating system. So if you don't have the good reason to change it, just click on the next button. Now on the next window, if you don't want to create the start menu folder, then you can just check this checkbox, but I'm going to just leave it unchecked and then click on next. And here are some options which you can choose. So if you want to create the desktop icon, just click this option, and then there are some other options also which I'm going to just check all the options, and then I'm going to click on the next button and then click on the install button. Now Visual Studio Code will take few seconds to install, so I will wait for the installation to complete. And now as you can see, the Visual Studio Code setup has been finished. And if you want to launch Visual Studio Code after it's installed, you can just leave this checkbox checked and then click on finish, which is going to launch Visual Studio Code. And also you can see this Visual Studio icon on the desktop also. So you can just click on this icon any time and then open your Visual Studio Code. So you can see Visual Studio Code is now open. Now as you can see here on the left hand side of this editor, you have some icons. So this icon, the first icon, is called Explorer, and when you click on the Explorer, it's going to open this kind of menu here where you can open your folders or files or anything. So here Visual Studio Code works with the folders. You don't have projects but the folders, because it's normally editor. So if you want to open any folder, you can just click on open the folder and then open the folder which you want to open. So let's say I want to create a new folder here, and let's say this folder will be named as work, and then I'm going to just open this work folder using Visual Studio Code, and you can see it's easily opened using Visual Studio Code. If you want to create a new file, you can just click on this option or on the file option and then click on the new file option. Now if you want to search into your files, then you can use this search button also. So let me create a test file. So test dot, let's say we want to create a Python script. So I'm going to just create a test.py file, and straight away when you open any file which is related to some programming language and Visual Studio Code is going to detect it, you can see a Python extension is recommended for this type. So if you want to install the Python extension, then you can just click on the Python extension, and it's going to provide you the support for the Python extension. So I was talking about the search. So if you want to search in the file, so for example, I'm going to just write print hello world, and then just press Ctrl S to save your content. So you can press Ctrl F to find your stuff inside the current file. So for example, I just want to find out the print statement. So just type print, and you can see it's highlighted. Or if you want to search in the whole folder, then you can click on this option, and it's going to search for your keyword in the whole folder in which you are working in. Now the third option here is for the version control. So if you want to use any version control, for example Git, Visual Studio Code has a very good integration with Git. So this button is for that. Now the next button is for debugging. So let's say you want to debug your Python script, you can click on this option and debug it. And the next button here is for the extensions. So here when you click on the extensions, you can search for many extensions which are given by the Visual Studio community. So you can see popular extensions are Python extension, C++, ESLint. So there are many extensions here. Also, you can search your extensions from here. So let's say you want to just search the extensions for Python. So you can just search for Python and it's going to recommend you these extensions which you can use to develop your Python script. If you want to search for Java, just search for Java and it's going to give you all the extensions related to Java. So this is how you can use Visual Studio Code. Now let me tell you one last thing before I end this video. So for example, you want to open your Visual Studio Code using the command line. So you can just right click on your Windows icon and I'm going to open the command line. And if you want to open your Visual Studio Code using the command line, you can just write code here and then press enter and it's going to open Visual Studio Code using the command line. Now if you want to open your Visual Studio Code, let's say this is our project, right? So I'm going to right click and I can see it in the Explorer, which is the Windows Explorer, which is at this place. So I can just close it once again and then cd into this folder. So cd and the path in which I want to go. And once you are in that path from where you want to open your Visual Studio Code, you can also write code and then this dot, which means to open your Visual Studio Code in this directory, in the current directory. So once you provide this command, this is also going to open the same folder, which is the work folder in the Visual Studio Code, right? So these are some small simple tricks and tips by which you can use Visual Studio Code efficiently. Now the last tip I want to give here is using the terminal inside your Visual Studio Code. So you don't even need this Windows terminal from here. You can just press Ctrl+Shift+P. So just press Ctrl+Shift+P and then just write toggle integrated terminal. And the first option here will be this option which says toggle integrated terminal. So this is going to open the terminal in the current folder inside your Visual Studio Code. So let me maximize this here and you can see the terminal is open inside your Visual Studio Code. So for example, I want to execute my Python script. So I'm going to just say Python and then the test.python script and then press enter, which is going to execute this script and show me the result, which is hello world. So how easy it is, right? So this is how you can use the terminal inside Visual Studio Code. How you can get started with Python on your Visual Studio Code editor using your Windows 10 operating system. So let's get started. So to start with, you need to have Python installed on your Windows 10 operating system. Now to check whether Python is installed, I am going to right click on my Windows icon here and open the command prompt. And here I'm going to just type Python and then space -- version and then press enter. And you can see I have Python 3.7.4 installed on my Windows operating system. So make sure that Python is installed and also Visual Studio Code is installed. So you can see Visual Studio Code is already installed. So now the only thing remains is I need to open the Visual Studio Code and create my project. So to start with, because this is a Python development kind of tutorial, I'm going to open the command prompt and I want to show you some more things. So you can go to your chosen directory. Let's say I want to just create a project inside my desktop directory. So I'm going to just type desktop, cd desktop, and then I'm going to create a directory using mkdir command, and then the name of your directory which you want to create. So let's say I want to create a directory called work. So I'm going to just give this command mkdir work, which is going to create this directory in your desktop, right? So you can cd to your work directory. So now you are inside your work directory in the terminal. So you can directly open Visual Studio Code inside this directory using this command, code space dot. So just give this command and then press enter, which is going to open Visual Studio Code on the same directory. You can see, so now the work of this terminal is done. So I'm going to just close this terminal. So now we want to create some Python script, and we want to run this Python script using Visual Studio Code, and also we want to debug our Python script using Visual Studio Code. So let's create a Python file first of all. So I'm going to just create a test.py file and then press enter, which is going to create this file. And as soon as you create this file inside Visual Studio Code, straight away this message will pop up, which says the Python extension is recommended for this file type. So if you want to install it, you can just click on the install button. If you don't want to install it straight away from this message, you can also go to this last option, which is called the extensions, and just click on this. Here also you can search for Python inside this search box, or you will see in the recommendation this Python plugin also. So for example, I just type here Python, and the first result here will be the Python plugin extension. You can also read more about this extension by clicking on this extension, right? So this is the same extension which is recommended by Visual Studio Code to us, which is this pop-up, right? So if you just click on the install button, it's going to install the Python extension, and you can see how many number of time it is downloaded. It is downloaded about 62 million times. So it's the most popular, or one of the most popular extensions which is provided by Microsoft. That's also important, right? So I'm going to just click on install button, which is going to install this Python extension. You can see some more extensions also here. For example, Python for Visual Studio Code, which is also relatively popular. You can see 1 million downloads of this extension, and you can see many more extensions when you just type here Python. So for example, Python preview or Python path. So now you can see that this Python extension is added to our Visual Studio Code, and at any time you can also uninstall this extension by clicking on the uninstall button. So once this extension is installed, just go to your Explorer once again. I'm going to just close this page from here, and now you can also see some tips and recommendations from your Visual Studio Code editor, which is to install pylint extension. So this time I'm going to just directly click on this install button, which is going to install this pylint extension on our Visual Studio Code. So you can see it's installing this package, and you will also observe that this package is just a pip package, and you can see this command is already given on your terminal, which is pip install pylint for this user. So if you want to install pylint manually, you can also give this command using pip. So you can just write pip install pylint, and this procedure is same as what Visual Studio Code is doing for us, right? I'm going to just close this recommendation because we have already installed the Python extension for the Visual Studio Code. And now you can see that the pylint extension is also installed. So you can see this terminal is also available inside your Visual Studio Code, from where you can run your script directly. So I'm going to just close this terminal for now, and I'm going to show you how you can open it once again. You can go to the view, and then from here you can just click on the terminal, which is going to open the terminal. If you want to open multiple terminal, you can just click on this plus button, and you can see there are multiple terminals open, which you can switch using this menu bar from here, right? So let's just create some code. So I'm going to just define, for example, msg for message is equal to hello world. Let's say we want to print hello world on the terminal, and then inside this print function, I'm going to just pass my msg variable. So once you have done writing your code, you can right click on the same file, and then you will see this option which says run Python in terminal, which is going to run your Python script inside your terminal. So I'm going to just click on this option, and you can see it runs this Python script using Python on your terminal, and it prints hello world here. So you can see this output hello world. Also, if you want to increase the font size, you can just go to file, and then go to the preferences here, and then click on settings, which is going to open this window. And then you can go to the text editor here, and then go to the font, and I'm going to increase this font size to, let's say, 18, and then press enter, which is going to increase this font size to 18. You can see the font size is now increased. You can also do it, let's say 20, which is going to make this font little bit more bigger. So let me just close this window once again, and let's concentrate on our Python script. Now let's try to do it manually. We have just ran our script using just right clicking on the file and then choosing this option. But you can run your Python script using the command line simply. So you can just write Python and the name of your script, which is a test in our case. And because it's a PS terminal, which is a PowerShell terminal, that's why it's adding this dot and this backslash here. Otherwise, we could have just used test.py also on your Linux operating system. It will run fine also. So you can see the same result here. Also, you can see on the left hand corner this Python version which is available for your Visual Studio Code. So you can see Python 3.7.4 64-bit version is used by Visual Studio Code on our Windows 10 operating system. So now let's try to debug our code. So to debug our code, we just need to give the breakpoint. Breakpoint you can give from here. So just click on the left bar here, and then you can see the red dot. That means we have set the breakpoint, and then you can just go to the debug options. And right now there is no configuration here. So when you click on this spanner option, you can see this round icon here. You will be able to see the first option here. It says Python file. So you can just click on this Python file, which is going to create this launch.json file inside your project. So now you can see there is a folder which is created, which is called .vscode, and inside this .vscode your launch.json file is there. But let's not just concentrate on this launch.json file yet. We want to debug our code. So we just want to click on the debug option, and once you have clicked on the Python file options, you will be able to see Python here, or when you drop this menu, you will be able to see Python here once you have clicked this open launch.json file. And then you can see this green button here. So I'm going to just click on this green button, which is going to start the debugging of the Python script. So debugger has been started, and in some time you can see that our debugger is stopped at this breakpoint which we have set for our print function. And on the left hand side you can see the local variables here. So there is only one local variable which we have defined, which was this message variable, and also there are so many built-ins which are available inside your standard Python. So those are also shown here. If you want to watch any variable, you can also write the name of that expression, for example MSG, and then I'm going to just press enter, and it's going to give you the value of that expression. So I have just added this expression and it shows me hello world. Also there is a call stack here, and you can see the breakpoints here. You can also see these buttons. First button here is for the continue, second is for step over, third is for step into, and the fourth button is for step out, and this button is to restart your debugging, and the last button is for stop your debugging. So let's say I'm going to just click on continue button, which is going to just continue the script after the breakpoint, and it's going to show us this output. Once again, when you run your debugger is going to stop at this breakpoint which you have set. So this is how you can debug your code. You can also restart your debugging by just pressing the restart button, and it's going to restart your debugging. So let's stop our debugging for now and let's go to our script once again. Now let's see how the IntelliSense work in your Visual Studio Code for Python. So we have declared this variable called MSG. When you write, for example, dot here, you will be able to see bunch of functions which you can apply on your string variable. For example, capitalize, or all these functions which are available here. So let's say we want to apply this lower function, and when you try to complete this function using this parenthesis, it's also going to show you what this function is going to do. So it's going to return the copy of the string converted to the lower case, right? So this is how you can use the IntelliSense. If the IntelliSense is not working, you just need to relaunch your Visual Studio Code, because sometimes you need to restart your Visual Studio Code on your Windows operating system after installing the extensions. So we have installed the Python extension, and if you don't restart it, sometime it's not going to work. So try to restart your Visual Studio Code and then try to use this IntelliSense, and it's going to work most probably. So how you can set up your Visual Studio Code editor for the Java development. The most important thing you need to develop your Java code or projects with Visual Studio Code is the Java JDK. So if you don't have Java JDK installed, you can search for Java JDK, and then you will see few links here. So you can see, in my case, I can see Java SE Development Kit 8, which was the older JDK version, and when I scroll down, I can see Java SE Development Kit 12, which is the latest version at the time of making this video. Make sure that this link is from oracle.com, right? So I'm going to just click on this link which says Java SE Development Kit 12, or whatever version is the latest version when you are installing Java Development Kit. Okay, so you will see this kind of page, and then just accept the license terms and conditions, and then choose the executable file or the binary file for your operating system. So as this video is made on Windows operating system, so I can just click on this option which says Windows -x64_bin.exe extension, right? So just download this executable file and then install it. And the steps are really simple. So once again, you just need to click on this executable file and then just follow the procedure and click on some next buttons, and you will be good to go. The most important thing is to set the Java home environment variable. So I have already created a video on how to install Java Development Kit and how you can set your environment variable, that is Java home environment variable. So I will put the link of that video in the description of this video, so you can just see that video and install Java JDK and set Java home environment variable. So once you have installed Visual Studio Code and you have installed Java Development Kit and set the environment variable, the last thing which remains is you just need to search for Visual Studio Code Java, and you will see this link. All the links which I'm showing you, I'm going to put all the links in the description of this video, so you can directly click those links and just go to those websites. So you just need to click on this link which says Java in Visual Studio Code, or code.visualstudio.com/docs/languages/Java. So I'm going to just click on this link, and here you can read this document and see the procedure on how Java is supported in Visual Studio Code. The most important thing I want to show you here is this option, which is download Visual Studio Code Java Pack Installer. So in order to fast track your Java development in Visual Studio Code, Microsoft has already created this Java Pack installer for Visual Studio Code. So you can directly download this and install this, and it will be automatically added to your Visual Studio Code. So it will make the development of Java projects on your Visual Studio Code easier. So I'm going to just click on this button which says download Visual Studio Code Java Pack Installer and then save this file. Now once this executable file is downloaded for Visual Studio Code Java Pack Installer, I'm going to click on this link, and then I'm going to minimize the browser, and you can see this window has been started for Visual Studio Code Java Pack Installer. First is to accept license terms and conditions, so I'm going to click next. The second step is to configure the components for Java Development Kit and Visual Studio Code. And as you can see, if Java Development Kit and Visual Studio Code is installed on your operating system, then you will be able to see this kind of message in front of Java Development Kit. You can see it's installed on my system and Visual Studio Code is installed on my system. That's why I told you to install these two things first before installing this Java Pack installer for Visual Studio Code. So just click on install and then wait for some time. So you don't need to do anything. This installer will find everything and set everything automatically for you for Visual Studio Code. And after a few seconds, you will see this message which says completing the setup wizard and launch Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to just click on the finish button, which is going to launch the Visual Studio Code with this package installed. And now Visual Studio Code is opened, right? So once the Visual Studio Code is opened, you can develop your Java project in your Visual Studio Code. So let's develop a simple Java code in Visual Studio Code editor. So let's say I want to create this project in this path on my PC under this Java with Visual Studio Code directory or folder. So you can open this folder in Visual Studio Code by just clicking on file and then just click on open folder, and then just copy this path and paste it here, and then just click on select folder, which is going to open this folder in Visual Studio Code. So you can see this folder is open inside Visual Studio Code, which is Java with VS Code. Or what you can do is you can just copy this path once again and right click on your Windows icon on the left hand side and then open the command prompt from here. So I'm going to just click on command prompt, which is going to open the command prompt, and once the command prompt is open, you can just write cd and then paste this path which you have copied and then press enter. And from here also you can just write code and then space dot, okay, code space dot. And what this is going to do is this is going to open your Visual Studio Code inside this directory. So this directory, you need to cd into this directory using the command prompt and then give this command. Then also it's going to open this folder inside Visual Studio Code. So let's see this how it works. So I'm going to close the Visual Studio Code and then give this command, and you will see this is also going to open this folder inside the Visual Studio Code editor. So once this folder is open in your Visual Studio Code editor, you can create a .java file by just clicking on this icon which says new file, and let's create a new file. Let's say hello.java and then press enter, which is going to create this hello.java and also give you this tab which is going to show you some of the documentation about Java development in a Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to just close this and this welcome window for now and just leave the hello.java file opened. Now what you can do here is you can create a class, let's say. So let's create a class. So I'm going to just say class, and you can see this IntelliSense, and you will see two options. So just click on the second option here, which is automatically going to create a sample class for you, which is public class hello. And here when you want to create a main method here, so you can just type main and then click on this IntelliSense which comes here, or press enter. Then it's going to create your public static void main method, and inside this main method you can for example print anything. So I'm going to just write system dot out dot print line, and here let's print something. So I'm going to just say print test, and when you want to run this program, you can see this option directly visible here. So you can just click on this run button or link here, which is going to run your code. First it's going to compile your code, and if it compiles successfully, then it's going to run your code. Let's say we just intentionally put some error here and then try to compile. Directly you can see this red squiggly line which is going to warn you that there is some problem in your code. And let's say I'm going to run this code again, and it's going to build your code, and it's going to show the error, compilation error, because we missed this semicolon after this line of code. So you can see these warnings or compilation problems if you have any in your terminal here in the debug console. You can also debug your code by this option. So let's say I'm going to create a string variable. I'm going to just say string here and then declare this variable. Let's say string x equals test. So test, and then I'm going to pass this x variable here inside the print line method. And let's say I want to debug on the line number 8. So you can see this red dot here. You can move this red dot anywhere. So I'm going to just click on this red dot, and then once this red dot is visible, I can just click on this debug option, which is going to run your code in debug mode. And on the left hand side you can see the variable value also. So you can see the variable value and also all the debugging variables you will be able to see on the left hand side. And if you want to go further, for example, if you want to step over or step into or step out, you can use these top options. So let's say I want to step over, so I can click on this button, or if I want to just stop the debugging, then I can click on the red button, which is going to stop this debugging. Now this is how you can create your Java project and run and debug your Java project in your Visual Studio Code editor. Now if you want some more support of Java inside Visual Studio Code, you can always go to this icon which says extensions and search for Java extension. So just search for Java here and you will see plenty of options available related to Java. So for example, if you want to develop a Maven project for Java, then this extension might be useful. And you can see on my Visual Studio Code, it's already installed. I haven't installed it specifically, but it's installed automatically because I have already installed this option, which is download Visual Studio Java pack installer. So some of the extensions are automatically installed when you install this Java package extension for Visual Studio Code. So you can just see these extensions. For example, Java debugger, if you want, there are 300,000 download for this extension, so you can try this extension, or Tomcat for Java extension. So you can see plenty of extensions available for you for your help, so you can try these extensions also. But basic applications related to Java you can directly start creating with this extension which we have downloaded, which is the Java pack extension. Without any problem it's going to work. How you can set up the C++ development environment on your Visual Studio Code editor on your Windows 10 operating system. Now I'm going to show you how to do it with MinGW compiler and debugger. We are not going to use any MSVC or Microsoft related compiler. Okay, so I already have installed the Visual Studio Code editor. So if you don't have it, it's really easy to install it. So just go to the Visual Studio Code website and then download and install it. It's free, of course, and it's open source. Now the next thing we need is the MinGW compiler. So I'm going to show you how you can download it. You just need to search for MinGW here, and the first link which will appear here will be from mingw.org. And when you open that website, it's going to show you this kind of website. We just need to go to the downloads tab here. So just click on the downloads tab, and once you click on the downloads tab, you will be redirected to the sourceforge.net website, which hosts the MinGW exe file. And then we are going to just click on this green button which says MinGW get setup.exe file. So I'm going to just click on this. So now I can see the download has been started and already finished. So I'm going to click on this MinGW get setup.exe file, and I'm going to minimize the browser. And now you can see the MinGW installer manager setup tool has been started. So first of all, we will just say install, and this is the default location where MinGW will be installed. So I don't want to change it, so I will leave it as default and say continue. And then it's going to start the download of the installer itself, and then it's going to ask us to install some packages. So I'm going to wait for some time until this download is finished. So once this step is complete, we will see this continue button is activated. So I'm going to click on this continue button, which is going to just start the MinGW installation manager. Okay, and it's going to show us these options. You can see here it's going to show us these options, and these options are MinGW developer tool, MinGW 32 base, and then GCC and GCC Fortin, GCC for G++, which is for C++, and other MinGW related packages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on every package and I'm going to say mark for installation. So one by one I'm going to just say mark for installation for all the packages, and once you are done with this marking for the checkboxes, you go to the installation on the left hand top side and then just say apply changes. Okay, so just say apply changes, which is going to start the installation of all these packages. Okay, so this may take some time. So you can see it's asking us to proceed, so it says okay to proceed. We will say apply, which is going to just start the installation of all these packages. So now all the MinGW packages are installed and I can see this message which says all changes were applied successfully. You may now close the dialog. So I'm going to just close this dialog, and you can see everything is green in my case. So I'm going to just close this installer also. And just for checking, I will just open my folder explorer, and here in the C directory I'm going to just check whether MinGW directory is there or not. So you can see MinGW directory is created for us, right? So I'm going to just go inside this directory and I'm going to go inside bin folder inside this MinGW directory, and I'm going to copy this path and I'm going to add it to my environment variable. So just copy this path up to bin and then right click on your start button here and then just search for system. So just click on system here, and once this system window opens, you just need to go to advanced system settings and then environment variables, and then just choose the path environment variable in system variables, and then either double click on it or just click edit, and then we are going to add a new variable and then just paste this path, which is c:\/MinGW\bin, right? And I'm going to just click OK and then OK and then OK, and I'm going to close this window and then I'm going to minimize this folder also. Now the next step is to check whether MinGW is working. So I'm going to just open my command prompt. So right click on your Windows button once again and then just click command prompt, and in here we are going to check the version of G++. So just write G++ -- version and then press enter, which is going to give you the version of G++. In our case we have installed GCC version 6.3.0-1. okay, basically it's 6.3.0. So G++ is working fine on our Windows operating system. That means we can set our Visual Studio Code for developing C++, right? So I'm going to open the Visual Studio Code, and then if you're not aware of these options, I'm going to go through them briefly. So this is to open a folder. So here when you click on this Explorer, you will be able to open a folder. For example, I have already created a CPP folder on my desktop, so I'm going to open it. Everything you develop in Visual Studio Code is inside a folder, so you need to open some folder. Inside that you need to create your files, right? Now the next is the search button. So if you have some code and if you want to search for some particular words or sentence or code, you can search from here and even replace it. And then next option is for the source control. So Visual Studio Code have native support for Git. So if you want to have a source control, you can use this button. And then you have a debugger button. So we are going to see shortly how we can use it. And the last option is for extensions. So you can install extensions for some languages. For example, we want to install the official extension for C and C++ from Microsoft. So just search for C++ here, and hopefully the first option or first extension which will appear here will be for C/C++. So I'm going to click on this extension, and you will be able to see the details about this on the right hand side, right? And you can see about 5.8 million extensions have already been downloaded, and it's from Microsoft. So you just need to click on this install button, which is going to install this extension. And once this extension is installed, you just need to reload your Visual Studio Code. So just click on this reload. So I have just clicked on the reload button and my Visual Studio Code has been reloaded. So you can see this extension has been installed, and now I can see the uninstall option for this extension. So now I have the C and C++ extension. So let's create a code. So inside this CPP folder, I'm going to create a new main.cpp file, and once this file is created, I'm going to write some code here. So I'm going to add some code. So I'm going to just write include IOStream, and let me make this font size a little bit bigger so you can see this. And now I'm going to just add int main method, and I'm going to just create a really basic program here. So std cout, and then let's print hello world, and then I'm going to just say std end line. Okay, and I'm going to save this file, and you can see on this include IOStream, I see this green squiggly line. Okay, so when I hover over this green squiggly line, it says include error detected, please update your include path. Okay, so what you need to do is you just need to click on this bulb here. So just click anywhere on this line which shows the squiggly line, and then click on this bulb you see here, and then just click edit include path setting. Okay, so just click on this option which says edit include path settings, and once you do this, you will see a folder created here which is called .vs code, and the new file is created here which is c_c++ properties.json, and here all the include path, which are the default include paths for every OS, for example Mac OS, and then when you scroll down there will be the option for Linux, and in our case the option for the Windows is valid for us, right? So this is the option for Windows, and you can see the include path is right now it's workspace root. So here what we need to add is we need to add the include path for the IOStream or all the C++ include paths, right? So how we can do it? Just open your MinGW once again. So MinGW folder where you have installed it, and then here go to lib, and then go to GCC, and then go to MinGW32, and then whatever version you have installed, and then here you will see the library for the C++, right? So I will just copy up to this path, and then I will just write the comma here under Windows. So I'm working under Windows, so under browse and then path I will just give a comma here, and then press enter, and then in double quotes I will just paste this path here. Let me maximize this Visual Studio Code so we will see it better. Now in here it will show some error because Windows path we have to give like double backslashes. So we just need to add the double backslashes everywhere you have this backslash here. Okay, so double backslashes, and now we need to include the path for the C++. So inside this 6.3.0 there is a include directory, and inside the include directory you have this C++ directory where all the include files for C++ is there, right? So you just need to add include /C++ also. So here just add this also /include and then /C++. This path you need to include. I will add this path in the description also, so you can directly copy and paste it in your CPP property JSON file. So once you have included this C CPP properties JSON file, you can close it. By the way, if you don't know how to create this C CPP file from this squiggly line, you can just press Ctrl Shift P, and here you just need to search for C/CPP edit configuration, and then it will open the same file. Now you are not still ready to compile your C++ program, because you need to create two more files. One is task.json and another is launch.json for launching your debugger. So let's create the task.json file first of all. So just press Ctrl Shift P once again, and here search for tasks, and then choose this option which says configure tasks. Okay, so choose the third option which says configure tasks, and then you just need to create the task.json file. So this option will appear here. You just need to click on this option which says create task.json file from template. So once you click this option, you will see some default option. You just need to click others for C++. So you just need to click this option which says other, and it's going to create the task.json file. And here you will see the basic configuration for tasks. First is for labeling your task. Second is the type of command you want to give. Third is the command itself. So in our case, we are going to give this command, which is G++. And even you can add the complete command, for example, -g for debugging options, and then your file name, which is main.cpp in my case, right? So you can give this kind of command, or otherwise you have the option to give the args. So you just need to give double quotes here and just write args, and then inside this square bracket you can add your options. So for example, first option is -g for the debugging option, and second is the file name, so main.cpp, right? Now there is one more thing you need to do here, is you need to add which kind of task is it. So it's a build task, so we will add one more option here, which is group option. So just write group, or just write G, and you will see the IntelliSense group here. So click on this, and it's going to add this here automatically. So kind is build for us, so because it's a build option for us, so kind is build and is default true, so everything is good for us. So just save your task.json file, and now you can just press Ctrl Shift B to build your program. So just press Ctrl Shift B, and then it's going to start the task for us. You can see it's executing task, which is G++ -g main.cpp, right? And you will see here your output file is also created, which is a.exe. If you don't give the option -o, it's going to just create this default executable file, which is a.exe. Now how to run this a.exe? So what you can do here is you can just open a new terminal here. So you can just click on this plus button, which is going to open the new terminal. You can see PowerShell is open, or your default terminal will be open, and then you just need to run a.exe file. Okay, so it's going to open inside your default folder, inside your project folder, so you don't need to change the directory. You just need to run this a.exe command here, and then press enter, which is just going to print hello world here. So we have successfully built and run our code here, right? Now let's see how we can debug our C++ code. So for debugging, what we need to do is we need to go on this debugging option. So just click on this debug option, which is this button, and then once you are inside this debugging option, you just need to click on this green button which says start debugging. So just click on this button, and now it's going to just ask us which type of debugging we want to do. So we want to do the C++ GDB debugging because we are working with MinGW, which is GDB. So just click on this option which says C++ GDB /LLDB. Okay, so I'm going to click on this option, which is going to create a launch.json file inside your VS Code directory which is created. Okay, so now there are 3 files which we have created. One is C++ property JSON file, second is tasks.json file, and for debugging you just need to create this one which is launch.json file. Now in here we just need to give the debugging path, which is the path to our MinGW GDB exe file. So I'm once again going to go to the folder explorer and then open the MinGW directory, and inside the MinGW directory I'm going to just click on bin directory, and when you scroll down a little you will be able to find this GDB option here, right, which is the one we want. Okay, so just copy this path and then up to bin, just copy this path up to bin and then just paste it here in front of my debugger path. Okay, and then don't forget to add this extra backslash here, and once again just add extra backslash and then write gdb.exe. Okay, which is the debugger for us. Now there is one more thing we can do here, is we can add the pre-launch task here. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to just give the double quotes here and then just search for pre-launch task, which is going to build our code first and then start the debugging, right? And this is important for us. So just write the name of the task which you have created, which is inside your task.json. So inside the task.json, the label of this task is echo. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this label, whatever label you have defined here. You just need to copy this label and then you just need to add it in front of pre-launch task. Okay, so it's going to run this build task first of all, and then it's going to start the debugging. And one more thing you need to do here is you just need to call your exe file, whatever exe file you want to debug. You just need to give the path to that exe file. So you just need to add dollar and then in curly brackets of workspace folder backslash whatever is the exe name in your case. So in my case the exe file name is a.exe, so I'm just adding this one. Otherwise whatever is your exe file name, you just need to give the path to that. Okay, so let's start the debugging once again, and I'm going to just press on this button, which is going to first of all execute the task. You can see executing task g++ -g main.cpp, and once this build is complete, it's going to launch our program. And you can see a window was opened and closed immediately once this debugging has been started, right? Because what we have done is we haven't added any breakpoint here, so the debugging started and then closed it again. Okay, and for just pausing this window, you can also add on Windows especially, you can just write system inside the brackets. You can just write pause, and then you can just start the debugging once again. Just click on this debugging button, and now you can see the execution has been stopped on this breakpoint we have set here. So when you want to go on the next line, you can just click on this option which says step over. It is going to step over this line, and you will be able to see in the terminal also this hello world print. And then to close the debugging, you just need to click stop button here. Okay, let's say I will add some integers here. So int x is equal to 10, and then int y is equal to 20 here. Okay, and I'm going to add the breakpoint on these two variables once again, and let's start the debugging again. So I'm going to click on this button, which is going to start the debugging, which is going to first build our program, and then it's going to start the debugging. So first of all, it stops on this breakpoint, and you can see the labels are also assigned here. So first of all, there is some garbage value assigned to x and y, because there is nothing assigned here. And when we step over, you can see the value of x changed to 10, and when we step over, the value of y also changed to 20, which we have assigned here. Okay, so this is how you can do the debugging for the C++ on your Visual Studio Code editor. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now.